Welcome to our next episode of the Evolve Exchange. I'm Courteney Kettyle, here with Paul Fletcher, and today our guest is Scott Rixon, our Solutions Director here at Evolve IP. Hi Scott, welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
We'll start off with, can you tell us a little bit about your role here at Evolve IP?
Yes, so I'm Solutions Director, Evolve IP. So my team, myself, we look after the product portfolio, all the products that sit around the main core voice network and voice systems, which means we get lots of time to play, look at new product solutions, talk to our vendors, understand our vendors' roadmaps, and just generally understand the products and know what we need to present to our partners for the best sales opportunity.
And for those who may not be familiar, can you give us a simple overview of what the Anywhere product suite is?
So the Anywhere product suite is all mainly around the voice system, but then we've got the pillars that sit across that. So reporting, recording, then into integrations, and then looking sort of deeper, we do PCI compliant payments, full fixed mobile convergence for the mobile offering, and then into things like prompt voice for AI IVRs, and then if you really want to go deep into it, contact center, and we work with TalkDesk to go deep into the contact center.
So when people hear product suite, it can sound complex. Is this the case with our product suite?
Honestly, no. And it's one of the things that we are sort of most proud of with the work that we've done. The big difference and the big thing that we've worked over the last few years is really to make it as simple as we possibly can for our partners to deliver an amazing service into their customers. So everything is automated from within the Anywhere portal. So it's very easy to pick and choose what services and what parts of the suite you want to enable for a user. And even down to being so easy that you can put everything into a spreadsheet, upload that spreadsheet, and you've then got a user that's been built with all the features they need, call recording, reporting, fixed mobile convergence. It's all set up, all configured with a couple of clicks of the mouse. It just schedules it and then builds all those users really quickly.
I think it's important to note that kind of built that from the ground up, and that's the whole reason of doing it. In terms of we've gone away from being a telco reseller or a telco vendor and being a tech integrator, and the fact that actually everything integrates to the pure core of our offering, which irrespective of it being with a third-party vendor, Bitdubber, a Kixi, TalkDesk, BroadSource, doesn't matter who or what it is, it all comes into our core, and it's our core. We own it, maintain it, build it, continue to expand it, change it mid-flight, whatever we do, it is ours, and we've got that control. And I think that's a key differentiator or a key component to how it all works, and it's been built with that in mind. Because we don't want to develop something our own and have to play catch up with the market when you've got an industry leader in there that can quite easily integrate with us. So why spend the money, spend the time catching up when actually we can bring those guys in, get the ball rolling very quickly, enable our partners, enable ourselves.
And I think what you said there around it being a USP, there are data centers. Okay, they're shared data centers, but there are servers in our data centers on our network. Not that I ever have done, but you could go and touch the servers that are running, which most people can't do these days. A lot of other people in the market have moved to cloud-based services with the cloud providers who have had issues. So, as you've said there, it is a big USP for us that it is still on our tin and stuff that you can touch. But also critical to that is making it easy. Anybody, as you say, Paul, can come and add something to their product portfolio, but we've built the workflows to automate all of that process so that the operational cost is as low as it possibly can be. So many times people can come and talk to us about different bits and pieces they want to add or we could add to the platform. But our first question is, can we use our workflows to provision that? Can we automate that? Otherwise, the operational cost is too high and people aren't interested and people don't want to use it. But then also leveraging, those experts in reporting, recording, PCI, who know what they're doing, but being able to connect into their services so that it makes it as close as it can be to look like one coherent whole. And it really does, and it really does work.
What are our core components of our product suite?
Okay, so working through them one by one, Alluded to it a couple of times. We talked about reporting. Any business that says they don't want reporting, I don't know how they're managing their business. Somebody said it once, you can't manage what you can't measure. It's so critical, particularly in, the modern sort of age. And something we talk about a lot at Evolve is, work goes on anywhere or work anywhere. So you need to be, monitoring and measuring and knowing that your business is operating, knowing that you're not missing calls, or if you are, how you call them back. And that's kind of the backbone by using sort of the Akixi product suite. Then you get into call recording, which historically has been very much a compliance conversation. I need to keep it for 5 years and it's not very interesting. But that landscape's changed so much. Get the AI in quickly. Everybody talks about AI, but it's a really interesting one around the call recording piece, because they'll talk about, now we're getting to a point where you'll be able to free text search with an agentic search within the call recording in the coming months. But we've got things with Dubber that can expose moments and connections and all these nice things they talk about, but lets you know what your business is talking about, finds out what's going on, so that you can understand what people are doing, talking about within your business.
I think they're the two key components to literally any size business, irrespective of vertical or market that they're playing in. All that information is sat in stuff that you own. Your analytics. How many people do I talk to? When are they contacting me? Who am I missing? Where are they hanging up? All that information you own, and you can get to it. But so many people ignore it, and it's so vital to. Could be your opening times, your competition's opening times, your CSAT scores, your sales. It's not always pound note return. It can be experience and providing that. But then coupled that with the customer experience modules in Dubber, they are two components that you've literally got all the information there. Why are you not looking at it? Why are you not using it? It's almost free to reference it and get it back. It's not like you're paying thousands of pounds to a market research company like you would have done historically. What are my target audience? What are my customers saying about me? What do they want to know about me? You've got all that information just sat there waiting. And as you said, in an old school conversation about call recording, that's somebody's time, day, weeks, hours, months, sat there listening to those conversations. You can bring those reference points to the surface really quickly, very simply. And it's irrelevant of company size, irrelevant of market that you're in. What those two components should be sold pretty much with near enough any UC solution, from a one-man band to hundreds of seats, because everybody needs to know what they're talking about, and it's sat there waiting for you.
Yeah, and it's so easy. And people, unfortunately, do look at the cost, because AI is not free. It may be if you're just trying to do something personal with ChatGPT, but it certainly isn't if you're trying to do it properly and with a level of security wrapped around it. But as you say, that data is there for you to understand your business, to understand what's happening. Bigger businesses would have compliancy teams. Smaller businesses could only dream of having compliancy teams, but yet people will still listen to some call recording. Well, what are you touching? 1%, 2%, 3%? Well, the AI is listening to 100%, and then it can give you the next layer to go and actually listen and look at that data and understand what people are talking about and how they're treating your customers. And I think that's something that, again, gets lost. These are the people that are talking to your customers who are probably at home, who you can't hear, who you can't hover behind like you used to be able to know how they're talking to your customers. And if you're not, checking that data or doing anything with that data, then it's totally lost. You don't know what's happening.
Let's say it's not the cost of how much it is to implement. It's what's the potential cost of inaction. Loss of customers, loss of revenue, loss of staff as well. From a complaints point, at a complaints department, are your members of staff constantly being verbally abused on the call that you're completely unaware of because your employee doesn't want to make a fuss? They don't want to reference it in the notes on the CRM platform. But, what's that doing to them psychologically long term? Is your staff turnover quite high? Because actually it's not a very nice environment to work in. I'm in my own home and I'm being sworn at. That's not a very nice place to be, is it? You should always feel safe at work and at home. If home is your work and you're being sworn at, that's not a very nice area to be sat in. What do you not know? And as I say, inaction could be externally or internally. And again, it's all sat there waiting for you just to go, oh, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
As you say, 100% of the time, you can always get that information.
Yeah, it's all sat there. And then, taking a slightly different tact, and you alluded to it slightly there, Paul, is integrations. At last count, we're at some 350 integrations that we can do. And again, an easy conversation with a customer. Do you have a CRM? I'm betting it's almost 100%. The answer is yes. So then the follow-up is, well, wouldn't you want to know who's calling you? Because then you can be pre-armed with the information. That can screen pop, who's calling. Well, that's then going to link to a contact record in your CRM. That's going to link to an activity record. If it's a good CRM and it's been kept up to date, now I know why they're calling me. So one, I'm feeling and giving a better customer interaction and a better customer feeling because they feel like, well, you know who I am and you know why I'm calling you. But also, you've got that information in your hands. You're reducing the interaction time because we've all been on that call. Oh, wait a minute. Can I take your name? Paul? Yes. Okay. Can I ask why you're calling? Yes. Can I check your number? Etc. Etc. And it doesn't make you think, that this is a great interaction because you've got to sort of spell all that out. And then add to insult to injury when they then transfer you to someone else and they repeat the process, who could have the same screen pop up and dip that data into the CRM. So by having those things connected as well, you're really taking it now to a level where you're not just talking about seats. You're talking about that business journey and how this company wants to operate and what's key to them.
I think the sort of customer experience has changed, that people expect to be remembered, expect to be valued. There's some businesses with it's really low cost, low value. They expect it to be really transactional. But a lot more people are buying on experience now, or the experience provided to them, particularly in hospitality, be that hotels, restaurants, etc. They expect you to know that you've booked a table with them 18 times in the last year. They expect you to know that it's a table of 4, one gluten-free meal. They're expecting that from you now, and if you're not providing it, you're just going to annoy them and they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and let's loop that back into the whole call recording, transcription, sentiment piece. If you're able to then pull that data out, how those people are being treated, how they're feeling, because you've got that data front and center. You can listen back to it, and then you can have some training opportunities or maybe some process changes that you need to make sure that the customers are being treated properly. And again, I think it's a conversation that doesn't happen enough. A phone system isn't just an island. We've got all these products and bits and pieces that wrap around it, which sort of drifts me nicely onto the fixed mobile convergence, which I know we talked about in one of the previous podcasts. But it's a huge missed opportunity that people don't think, well, wait a minute, work is mobile. So why don't I have the primary dialer on my mobile phone as my work extension or my DDI, so that I'm then presenting the correct number all the time? Well, that's good, because then when I'm not answering the phone, it can be routed elsewhere in the business. But also to everything we just talked about. It's now being captured in my reporting, so I know how many calls I'm making out and I'm bringing in. I'm being call recorded. So if I'm making a commitment, or if I'm agreeing to something, or even just having a conversation, it's part of that process. It's not lost data. Yeah. It's not on the fringes and the edges. It's part of the phone system. And we all sit with mobile phones. A lot of people bring your own device now. Yep. So being able to turn it on and off, turn the SIM card on and off, by not installing an app, if you've got any issues around compliance, well, then they go away because it's just a second SIM. So you haven't got to worry about the work app being installed on your personal phone, which some people might not want. It's just such an easy addition.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, it touches all places, doesn't it? Everyone remote. Well, most people have an element of remote working in the business, but from a compliance point of view, you need things recorded. The easy cop out is I called them from my mobile, Scott, and I wasn't in Wi-Fi, so I couldn't use the Teams app or the WebEx app. It's just all goes away. It's all eradicated, and it's just simple and easy for them. And the permissions-based thing about I don't have to have an app BYOC. Oh no, I don't want you looking at things on my phone. Oh, I'm not. It's a SIM card, and all I can monitor is interactions in and out of that SIM card. Don't care what else that you do. But I think the big thing for me, I think, and I've probably said this on other episodes, is voice kind of gets pushed to the side as an interaction. We spend so much money on our websites, we spend so much money on our SEO, we spend so much money on our LinkedIn and our marketing and all those kind of interactions. But actually the phone call is often the only person that is actually physically interacting with me for a reason, and it's where I spend the least amount of interest or money in finding out why they're talking to me, because they want something or they've already had something from me. So why am I not treating them as well as I would treat somebody on LinkedIn? Why am I not giving them the same value of worth? So yeah, I'd go and spend loads of market research on how do I get people to read my LinkedIn ad, but I'm not prepared to look at the data which I already hold across all my types of communications in one location. It's like, treat all your interactions equally, and then you're going to have a pretty well-rounded approach, again, irrespective of what size of business you are.
How can partners shift conversations from what discount can we get to what additional value can we deliver?
Something that can always be tricky, but to be honest, if they've got to the stage of asking for a discount, then as we talked about earlier, they've probably missed the mark already. They should be looking at what that customer is doing, what their business looks like, and exploring the value that the telephony is going to offer them. The whole story with Evolve is that, we've got, I believe, almost every angle covered that we can kind of plug things in. And a big key differentiator with us is that you're on 30-day terms. So you can add things, you can take things away, and you can be flexible. We've got seats that cover a basic soft phone delivered through WebEx up to a premium seat, which includes all the meetings. We've got Team seats, which gives you the power of the Cisco Broadcast platform, but into a Teams endpoint. So the customer could flip to Teams or flip back to WebEx. And in the middle of all that, we still do a lot of physical phones on the desk. So you start to look at that, and then you look at what you can add on and start to paint a picture to the customer of, okay, let's start here, but let's begin to add things. And then you can jump to payments. You look at any customer, spend 10 minutes on their website before the sales call, you can work out a good story. Most are taking some level of payments in some way, shape or form. We came to market with our Secure Call product in 2023 with the change of the PCI compliance. At that point, most people were using pause and resume to pause call recordings. But Secure Call takes all the payment out of the agent's hands. So it's taking it through the DTMF tones, it's masking the DTMF tones. So all of a sudden, massively simplifying your PCI compliancy. So anybody that's dealt with PCI compliance, it's a challenge because so much is in scope when that data is traversing the customer's network. Physical handset, your network, and the agent is all in scope. Secure Call, we take all that out. And it's a per agent per month cost. No transaction fees, no integration fees, no setup fees. So it's just you pay for the agents.
Predictable, isn't it?
Very predictable and easy. It doesn't matter how many you're doing. So if you've got 3 agents, but they don't take a massive number of transactions, it doesn't matter. If they take a lot of transactions, it doesn't matter. So we work very hard to make that very easy to consume. Of course, it's pretty much automatic within the Anywhere portal. If it's a new bank connection, well then yes, there's a little bit of work on the back end to set it up, but none of it's onerous. We're not charging you PS for that. So again, it's very easy to use. So you look at those things that we can bring on. You can very quickly take someone from a conversation about a simple telephone system, walk them through some integrations, bring them in with some conversational intelligence around with Dubber, a dash of the reporting to actually know what is going into their business, hopefully talk to them about getting some integration and showing some value, and maybe doing a trial on a few of those further down. So all of a sudden you can have a soft launch into that customer, and then in 3 months' time you're going back, having a proper review with them. Maybe you're taking some of their own Akixi data and presenting it back to them and going, oh, it'd be good if you did this because I can see this from your data. That you can really work with that customer. And I think that's where the partners that take those kind of things on board can really thrive, They're going back in time and time again with that customer. What's changed? What's new? This is what's new with us. This is what's new with the customer. This is how we're doing things. This is working. This isn't working. Or if you're not, you're sat in a 3-year transactional deal and they're going to churn at the end of 3 years and look for something new.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's always been easy and always been cheesy to say, and every sales course anyone's ever been on has probably always told you, take your customer on a journey and take them through. But actually, whilst that was always a nice to have sales, it's never been as important as it is now. And I think, as you say, with everything being on 30-day terms, it's a la carte, it's mix and match, turn it on and off when suits your end customer, when suits you. So it doesn't have to be. A lot of customers have end users that are adverse to change, so they may not want 4 different product sets delivered to an end user in one go. So let's sort of land the UC, get them used to their new soft client, and then in the background you can start to introduce those other things over a period of 6-7 months. It's almost land and expand model in terms of go get that new business, but be prepared to be invested in them. And I think if you do that prep work at the beginning, where you understand where they want to get to in the life cycle of your transact. So yeah, you've signed for 3 years, but what does your phone system look like in 3 years' time compared to what it looks like now? Hopefully it doesn't look like the same thing, because that means like they've kind of stood still in technology. Technology changes literally hourly at the minute, if not quicker than that. So you can't just go, cool, see you in 3 years' time or 2.5 years' time for a re-sign, and we'll try and chuck something new at you then for the same price. It's no, go if you've done your research and you've done your prep, that journey should be a relatively it's not even a sell. It's just cool. You've hit this. When we spoke, you wanted to take your payments off of the finance team and into this team, and you want to make it seamless and easy. Did you just turn? We can turn this on 2 people. How does it work? Touch and feel of it. You don't get that with all the other vendors that will tie you into long-term commits. You own the whole cycle, the whole circle, and you can do what you want with it. And I think, we need to get away from that conversation of, I'm going to do 100 seats, can I have £1 off a license, please? Yeah, cool, we'd all like 100 seats, but actually, in 3 years' time, you're going to lose those 100 seats. So that pound is kind of negated. Put some analytics in, or put some conversation analytics in, and actually you'll have that customer for 6 years, 7 years, because they're starting to see a value in what you've delivered them. That's not just a phone system. You've delivered them value. You almost need to take some pride in driving operational change in some of your customers. And I appreciate some transactions will be just transactional. Some people will just want a phone system that I can make and receive calls in, and they're not going to entertain that conversation. But enough people are now being educated enough through LinkedIn articles, things like this, through other conversations with your competitors, that maybe their IT provider. Why are you not using Teams? Do you know we can do this in Teams? Are you not in Teams? Are we there? Or you're in WebEx. Did you know you could do this on your WebEx meetings? Or they've had a conversation with one of their end customers who's used WebEx and has then sent them out the transcribed meeting notes with the action points on the end. But you're meant to be their technical partner, and they've out-teched you. It's not a very good look, is it?
And that's a huge one. If you look back, a couple of years ago when we did our partner day in the Williams Centre there, and I talked a little bit then about FMC and WebEx, and we went from a place where the WebEx meetings, they were what they were, and it was just on the edge of the AI. How many of our partners' customers know that on the top end seat, which isn't that expensive, they can have it fully recorded, transcribed, and as action points emailed to them? And one of my big stories then was talking about the fact that we all sit in meetings and somebody has to take the notes. Well, who's taking the notes? Well, I don't know who's taking the notes. And then the difference is the different views that people get from the meeting. And the AI has no opinion. Yeah. It just tells you what it is. And it tells you that information back and feeds you those notes. Now, I know, when you're on so many video calls and video meetings, sometimes you do want to take the notes to make sure you're following along and actually paying attention and not just replying to emails. But to know it's got your back and it's landing. And if you're busy and you can't make that meeting, rather than saying to somebody, can you send me the notes? Oh, yeah, so-and-so did the notes. They land in your mailbox and you've got the notes and you've got the key points and you can click through them and you can go, well, I didn't agree to that, or that wasn't quite what we discussed previously, and you can listen back to those key points. Because I know historically, so many times someone would say, oh, you can't make the meeting, Scott. Don't worry, we'll record it, you can watch it back. Yeah, I can count the number of times I watched it back on one finger, let alone one hand.
Could have been an hour and a half then. Where am I finding this other hour and a half?
Yes, exactly. Even if you watch it at two speed, so it's 45 minutes, it's still 45 minutes you're not going to do. So having those back in so that you can then listen to the critical points is huge. But how many people are going back to our customers and saying, well, you can do this now? You know, I get conversations, oh, we want to be able to do this. Well, you can. Oh, okay. What, on the license we've got? Well, yeah. Or maybe one up because they were just using basic meetings and they might need standard or premium. But, you know, they're not a big hike up. You're not into the full WebEx calling seat yet. You're getting this at sort of UC money. So it's a really, really strong conversation. And I think moving on to that, we're seeing some movement in the market around Teams. So we have a strong Teams play, always have done, but people are reevaluating their Microsoft licensing because of them having to break it up. And we're seeing more people question whether they want to pay that phone system license and the calling license on top, and thinking, well, maybe I don't want all my eggs in the Microsoft basket, and maybe I do need to split it up. So then you can really go in and talk to a customer, because while Teams has matured nicely as a telephony platform, it's not a power PBX. It is still pretty simple. It certainly has issues and bits and pieces around the edge, which its Microsoft people put up with. But we see a lot of customers that want calling and want the functionality that's been in the cloud and been with Cisco Broadworks all these years. So they want something else that isn't Microsoft Teams. So just knowing that it isn't a one size or one size fits all for these customers.
I think the last thing on Microsoft is Microsoft aren't a telco. They don't want to be a telco. They just want to give you an avenue into achieving it. So again, it's break that cycle of, oh, I need to be in Teams. Why do you need to be in Teams? I mean, if that's really the only barrier is I need to be in that pane of glass, you can put WebEx in Teams. It's literally a published app. Okay, you're in one pane of glass. You're not using Teams, and I've saved you a fortune because you don't have to pay £7 a user to just have a Teams calling icon. So yeah, be curious. I think I said it on our launch episode about this year. I think my two biggest messages were opportunity and curiosity. I think sales or solutions selling is being curious about what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve it, or what are you doing and why are you doing it that way, and become a problem solver.
And a problem finder.
Yeah.
Questioning the status quo.
Yeah,
definitely.
How can partners better utilise technical expertise during pre-sales?
Something I'm passionate about, unsurprisingly, seeing as it's sort of my job title. But I've always been in a technical role and then a technical sales role. And the partners that we engage with, particularly the partners who have similar roles in their business, who we can educate, we really see the benefit of, and they really can push it. And what I would say is, you need to get involved with that resource early in the sales cycle. Everything we've talked about, it's not about I want 100 of them. It's about how your business operates. You're coming at it later down the sales cycle. You've probably already missed a question or missed an opportunity. Yeah. And you need to be having that conversation further up front. And the good sales guys know enough to get enough detail. But then if they can either bring in our resource, we're here in Evolve for our partners to do that. But if partners have got their own resource that we can train up, and so they can have a deeper understanding of really the value of these products and the value of how to plug them together and how to make it work best for that customer. And then as Paul said about taking them on that proverbial journey and having those conversations, then we really see the benefit. And they're the customers that you're going to keep. They're the customers that are not going to just casually churn after 3 years because you've really put some work in, you put some value in. They understand the product, they understand how it's all connected together, and really kind of hit that benefit.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes the issue with technical pre-sales is you're brought in too late, and then you ask a question, and then you get that old joke of, "Oh, here come the sale prevention team." Where actually, if you brought them in at the beginning, and when they can engage and ask those probing questions before there's a quote on the table, then that's when you get them to get those value adds in if you want it at day dot. Because yeah, if you've agreed on commercials and technical pre-sales are then going through to do the design stage, and they start asking the what and the why, then like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, you need this product, and then you're having to go back to the customer to crowbar open that wallet again and get them to spend. But if they've come before the signature and they're actually there on your proposal meetings and your presentation meetings, you get that out the door early, and the customer's like, oh yeah, I want that actually. And then they're more amenable to taking it from day one. And that's where you start to build that value. Get pre-sales in pre-sale. Don't get them in pre-deployment. Get them in up front. That's when they're going to do their best work. And as you say, yeah, we've all had it. Probably, Scott, I'm sure you had it. I had it in my previous part. But when you start asking those questions in deployment, you get the old, as sales prevention team, oh, you're annoying the customer now asking these questions. And I was like, well, if we had them at day dot, they would have bought this then. And then I'm not having to get you to go back and do another quote and ask this question and do that and find this out.
Adding a service in or something that they promised something because they thought they could get away with something cheaper to try and squeeze more margin. Yeah. I mean, you go back to the fixed mobile convergence conversations. So many times you then find out they've got a big mobile force and you're expecting somebody to use WebEx or Teams in their car.
Yeah.
It's not a great environment to be using it. You need to be driving, not worrying about which app you're launching. But also, we all know, and I say it time and time again, mobile in this country is great when you're not mobile. Yeah. Stay still, it's fine. Yeah. Start moving, doesn't work. Yeah. So by putting them on FMC, you've then got them connected all the time, and you're benefiting from the mobile network. As even before we start talking about roaming users. But then looking at it as a DECT replacement or a Wi-Fi handset replacement. So you get pre-sales in early. They're looking at it and going, well, you've got a warehouse, you've got a mobile sales force. Yep. Those
work teams, the FMC fits in so many. We've touched on quite regularly about it being a compliance piece or estate agents or recruitment agents that are out on the road, but yeah, it's groundwork crews, construction crews, groundskeepers in like big hospitality garden areas, the people like that. They've probably got a mobile phone or they've got a ruggedized DECT device or a Wi-Fi device, which probably doesn't work when they get to the end of the first driveway and they're off down into the garden doing over. It's the solutions are already there. It's understanding what they're already doing and just going, yeah, you've got it. Yeah, and I've missed that opportunity now.
Yeah,
and I've got to wait 2 years until they come out of their mobile cycle, and it's like, well, by that point they've only got a year on their phone system, so they'll just go, oh yeah, that's a great idea. We'll wait. We'll just put that on a 30-day holder then, and we'll wait for your system to be up, and we'll look at it all together. And you've opened the door to someone else to come in and have a look,
or left the door open.
Yeah,
and just by having those pre-sales conversations early, the customer's not going to know. They're not going to ask for these things. People make it out, well, the customer didn't ask for that. No, they're not going to.
Yeah.
They don't know these things exist.
Yeah.
You need to be talking to them about what does exist and how it's going to make their business better, and not just that they need 100 of something to make something ring.
Yeah, the old adage is what, a little knowledge is dangerous. It's a little knowledge. They don't know all your product sets. They don't know all of what they can do. They have a little knowledge.
Yep.
And yes, it can be dangerous if they start poking around at the wrong things, but you need to treat them like little knowledge is little knowledge. So therefore, let me educate you. Let me find a way to educate you and bring you forward into the light, as we say.
The fact that they've come to you and you're putting a proposal together and you're talking to someone and they're not just buying off a page means they want your help. Yeah. They want to understand. Otherwise, they could have just bought cheap off a page and away they go. They've now got a ringing phone.
Yeah, but they're invested in a relationship.
Yeah, and make it a relationship. Yeah.
How do you see customer expectations continuing to shift?
Massively. And we haven't even talked about contact center yet. But customer expectations have always been hard because, as we've said, they don't know what they don't know, and you need to understand them. But the device in their hands always does a lot, and they wonder why a business device has to be a lot harder. AI is free until it isn't. Call recording, can't I just put that into ChatGPT to get it transcribed? You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, we're now in that world as well, where we have to kind of temper expectations, that they need to kind of work through that journey. And it's probably a good time to talk Talk Desk. And something that on some of the other bits and pieces we've been talking about, and one I picked up from the Kettyle event, was around the why of AI. People will come at you, and there's enough memes and bits in the press of, I want AI. Okay, when do we want it? We want it now. And why do we want it? We've got no idea, but someone gave me a budget. Probably in the customers that we're talking to, that's less the case, but somebody still says, well, AI can do something. And we've been working with a few partners, customers on that. But it's not a magic bullet. These things have to be taught and trained, and have to understand. So you can't just say, I want AI to answer all my calls and expect AI to answer all my calls without, well, who are you? And what do you want the AI to do? And what information do you want to gather? And how do you want it to treat your customer? And what are you going to feed it? Do you have those operational documents written down? And you find a lot of people don't. And what does your training manual look like that you would train an agent, the human agent that's going to answer the phone? Oh, we don't have one. Well, then how am I going to train the AI agent? Because you need to kind of commit to that first.
That's exactly the point, isn't it? It's an AI agent. It's still an agent. It still needs to learn. It still needs the knowledge. It's quicker at learning than a human individual. That's the point of it. But it can't learn from nothing. It needs information. It still needs your textbooks. It needs your knowledge-based articles. It needs to know what it's answering. Cool. It can go off to the internet and have a look and find out. But is that then the right information?
It's probably a terrible idea.
Yeah, exactly. But that would be very much like employing an apprentice and telling them to Google all the answers for every call that they get. You're going to get the same response. It's nonsense articles, the wrong answers. You have to be invested in nurturing it. AI, you have to see as an agent, and you have to nurture it. You have to take it from greenfield, knowing nothing, to being the knowledge of your team leader. It will do that within a very quick time period and continually self-learn, but it has to learn. And it is I think we talked about it with Talk Desk, and we probably talked about it with Dubber and everyone else, but it is a science experiment. You need to test it, see what it knows, teach it, test it, teach it, test it, teach it, grow it. You need to nurture it. Otherwise it's just, as you say, that someone's told me I need AI, I've got AI, what can I do with AI? How are you going to implement AI? Can I have some AI, please, sir? Like, can I have some more, please? Like, cool, but what are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm. Something, anything. But knowing and being able to talk to the customer and having that, intelligent conversation with them and steering them through it and saying, okay, fine, well, let's park AI, but let's build you a really cool contact center, because now I've got some call recordings and now I've got some data, and then I can work out what's going to benefit your business. And we've run projects before where we literally just gathered the data that the front of house type people were taking. Well, now I've got a bunch of data, and I can actually feed that into AI, ironically, and then know the questions and the FAQs that you haven't got written down anywhere, but are all in your people's heads. I can now create you an FAQ. To one, you can make sure the data is correct and your people are giving the right information. But now we've got the framework to create some AI agents, because one of the best ways is answering those kind of questions up front, so you get rid of those easy calls. And then, digging deeper, providing a bit of information before it gets to a live agent, because now you're reducing your call handling time. And we do find it where, customers come out of the gate, they want to fix everything at once. It's like, well, actually, no. Let the AI deal with the low-hanging fruit, and let your real people deal with the tricky customer, deal with the complaint, deal with the slightly more complicated question, because that's hard. And they're the people you want to look after, as we said, with the whole call recording and compliance and everything else piece. Just let them kind of deal with that. Then the easy stuff, when am I opening hours? What's the standard delivery times? Where's your office? Anything like that can be dealt with the AI, because it's easy. There's a simple answer to that question. And then you can build from there. But of course, it does come back to, you're going to be going back. You're going to be revisiting that customer. You're going to need to go in and understand what that customer's doing, look at their data, go back and have, multiple conversations with them and really take them on that long journey, because you can't do that on day one. So you need to be invested that this is a whole journey you're taking on. And that's even before you look at there's going to be changes and improvements to the product, even outside of the fact that they're wandering through that journey. So the expectations of the customer, I think, are as high as they've ever been. But unfortunately, the knowledge in the market of the customer and, potentially of people they're talking to is as low as it could be, because there's such that gap. I've talked before about, education, but going in so that you understand and you can talk intelligently to that customer about where they might want to take on that journey, and setting some realistic expectations that you're not going to be able to spin up a whole AI agent in a week and it's going to take 100% of their calls. But you need to, document their processes, and almost the information gathering is going to take longer than the deployment, because you need to really work with them and understand what they're doing. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Because that's the soft part. Yeah. Actually building what you finally got out of them is, relatively not that hard. But actually getting it to a place where you can build it is a long road.
I think that example is quite a common example, but it's also a great example of how you can use the full product suite to literally evolve that customer to an endpoint. So you started at UC, you've added on some call recording, conversational analytics, and then you're delivering them into an AI-driven contact center. Doesn't matter this. Again, we've done AI contact centers for 8 users. We've done them for 100 of users. It doesn't matter if you engage them at day dot to say, look, this is, I would love for you want to achieve this. I'd love to get you there in a 2-year cycle. This is how we do it. Plan it out from day one. And you've given, the roadmap to somebody there. It's literally the tom-tom directions of how to get from A to B, isn't it? Like that's the road, that's the avenue that you can take, and we give you the tools to be able to turn it on and off. So when you are ready to do the deep dive, turn it on, and when they're ready to jump in feet first because you've satisfied that you can tickle their boxes, you can turn it back off, turn something else on.
Yeah, and being able to have the different products in the different levels of the suite to really tackle the different areas. I've long said that we've sold a lot of reporting into the lightweight contact centers on the core platform, and now they're moving up to TalkDesk. But the sales teams, the finance teams, these other groups, because they didn't have the compliance you need for recording reporting, haven't, but they should.
Yep.
So it comes back to that whole conversation of really understanding what they're talking about as well, and understanding that they're also talking to your customers, and you should be treating them appropriately, being able to take people on that journey.
And then finally, if a partner is explaining our product suite to a customer, what is the one message that you think they should lead with?
There's a few, but I think underlying all this is the work anywhere, the sort of evolve philosophy, strapline, whatever you want to call it. Work happens anywhere now. We get people ask questions, can I take calls in India? They don't mean I want to put people in India and open a call center. They mean, can I, when I'm in India, use my voice over IP phone? You always have been, you always will be able to. But we're all mobile in some way, shape or form, whether that's just I work from home on Monday and Tuesday and I'm in an office on Wednesday to Friday, or I'm actually a roving salesperson. I think you'll find there's so few people that are going to be using these comms that are always in one place. And we've seen a lot of it with flexible working, and people working from home means people can work hours that suit them. So they're, mobile again, because, you can work hours that suit you. That could be nighttime, that could be daytime. So, when you're talking to your customers and you're building these solutions, think in those terms. Where are your users? How are your users communicating with each other? How are they communicating with the outside world? So that you are then looking at, well, I'm going to need these different product suites that we talked about, because I can now take payments at home because it's available on the platform through WebEx. I'm able to then walk out the door and my mobile is going to be there, but also that I can turn the second SIM off on a Saturday. So I've got no qualms that it's going to ring, or when I'm on holiday for 2 weeks, I can leave it off. To then just, having the apps in the right place, and being able to monitor and manage your business regardless of where those people are, regardless of how they're working, because this isn't going away. It's sort of the COVID exploded it, but people are not going to be going back to permanent working from offices. So we need to be thinking in those terms and talking about it in that way. And we're proud that we've got a product suite that allows them to work from anywhere. Your contact center just runs in a browser. Your WebEx can run on the mobile or on your laptop. Same if you're a Teams house, you can have Teams. Do you want a physical phone at home because that's where you are 3 days a week? Then fine, we can do that. So it's picking the right solution, but that it can be a mix and match of all of it.
Well, that's all our questions. Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of the Evolve Exchange. It's been great to have Scott here talking all about our product suite. I'm Courteney Kettyle, it's Paul Fletcher, and we'll join you on our next episode.